Okay, so the beginning of the parasha, the first pasuk says, "Vayomer Hashem el Moshe." Hashem told Moshe, "Bo el Paro, please go to Paro, come to Paro, כי אני הכבדתי את ליבו ואת לב עבדיו, because I weighed down or sealed the heart of Pharaoh and the heart of his slaves." So the question here right away is, why is the fact that the heart of Pharaoh was weighed down, why is it a reason for Moshe to go to him? It was supposed to be the opposite way, that since his heart is sealed and he won't listen to Moshe, so Moshe isn't supposed to go to him. That's the first question here. And the Maggid Miduvna is answering this question. You can see in his book, but I want to bring another question on another answer on that. Second question would be, why did Hashem tell Moshe that he sealed and weighed down the hearts of the slaves of Pharaoh? It's not the issue here. The issue is that Hashem weighed down the heart of Pharaoh, and he won't will to send them away. But the avadim, lev avadav, the slaves of Pharaoh, the people of Pharaoh, that's not the issue here. And on this question stands the Or HaChaim, and he brings out an answer. But I want to bring an answer that answers both of the questions in one answer. And that would be the thing that Rabbi Yonatan Eibeshit says in his book Midrash Yonatan. We have a din in the Gemara in Sanhedrin that says that if an un-Jew person did a sin, you are not supposed to warn him. Even if he's not warned, you didn't warn him, you can punish him right away. But that's not like Jew people. The Jew people would be punished only if you warn them. But if you didn't warn them, they won't be punished. But an un-Jew person would be punished even though he wasn't warned. Now, says the Gemara that that's only if he is doing a sin singly. But if he is doing it with a group of people, it's a public thing, so you cannot punish them unless you warn them. According to that, says Rabbi Yonatan Eibeshit, the pasuk says like that: Bo el Paro, you should go to Pharaoh. Why? To warn him on his bad deeds. So the question would be right away that Pharaoh is a non-Jew person, and if he's a non-Jew, you shouldn't warn him. You can right away punish him without a warning. Says the pasuk right away, כי אני הכבדתי את ליבו, I weighed down his heart, and את לב עבדיו, the heart of his slaves, of his people. And since they are a public, they are a group of people, so you are supposed to warn them. And that's what Hashem told him, Bo el Paro, why are you supposed to go to him? Because you're supposed to warn him that he is going to be punished. So if that we have an answer for both questions. The first question was, since his heart is sealed, why, since the heart of Pharaoh is sealed, why is Moshe supposed to go to him? So the answer would be, he's supposed to go and warn him. And the second question that we asked, what is the fact that the slaves' heart is sealed have to do with the commandment that Hashem told Moshe to go? The answer is that because it's a public thing, it's a thing that all of the group of people all of them are their hearts is sealed. Therefore, they're all called the tzibur, and because they are a tzibur, they are a public. You need to warn them, and you cannot punish them without a warning. According to that, I thought maybe to answer the question that the Kli Yakar asks. The Kli Yakar, you can see here in this paragraph, asks a very strong question. ויאמר השם אל משה באל פרעה, Hashem told Moshe, go to Pharaoh. Says the Kli Yakar, רבים תמו על פרשה זו. Lot of מפרשים ask her a strong question. What is that? שלא נזכר בה מה יאמר משה לפרעה בבוא אליו. The pasuk, the verse doesn't mention what did Hashem tell Moshe to say to Pharaoh when he's going to speak to him. כי לא נזכר דבר מן מכת הרבה. He didn't say anything about the locust plague. That's the question of the clear car. So we bring this out an answer for that, but I thought, according to what we just learned, that the pasuk is saying what Moshe is supposed to tell him. What is he supposed to do? He's supposed to warn Pharaoh. How do we see it in the pasuk? Because the pasuk says, "Ve'et lev avadav," the heart of his people is sealed as well. And because it's sealed as well, and they are called the tzibur, you need to warn them. So the pasuk does say, according to Rabbi Yonatan Eibeshitz, what was Moshe supposed to say to those to Pharaoh and his people? So the question of the clear car is answered as well by this idea. Let's continue on. Another idea here in this pasuk, a strong idea. The pasuk says, "Bol Paro, please go to Pharaoh, כי אני הכבדתי את ליבו." I weighed down his heart. The question is that there is a doubling here in the verse. כי אני, I, weighed down, הכבדתי את ליבו. In לשון הקודש, in Hebrew, when you say הכבדתי, it already means that you are the one who did it. הכבדתי means I weighed down his heart. So when you say הכבדתי את ליבו, it's as you said, כי אני הכבדתי את ליבו, because this word אני means I. And when you say הכבדתי, weighed down, with this T, it means הכבדתי אני, I weighed down. So if the pasuk wants to say that Hashem weighed down his heart, he could say, בול פרעה, כי הכבדתי את ליבו, because I weighed down his heart. This word אני has nothing to do here in this pasuk. It's a waste of a word. לכאורה. Says Rabbi Yonatan Eibeshitz, and this question as well is asked by the Or HaChaim, and he brings out two answers for that. But the Rabbi Yonatan Eibeshitz, in his book Midrash Yonatan, says a very nice idea here. The Mefarshim asked, we saw at the last week's Parasha, in chapter 9, verse 27, that Pharaoh said, Hashem HaTzadik, Hashem is the Tzadik, ואני ועמי הרשעים, and me and my people are the Reshaim, are not okay, we are not fine. So if he already committed that he is not fine, why did Hashem need to send Moshe again to speak to Pharaoh? That's the question. Says the Mefarshim that Pharaoh didn't say Hashem is the Tzadik, and me and my people, we are Reshaim, we are not okay. He said, Hashem HaTzadik ve'ani, Hashem and me, we both are fine, ve'ami HaReshaim, and my people are Reshaim. But he didn't commit that he was a Rasha by himself. So, because otherwise he would say, Hashem HaTzadik, Hashem is Tzadik, ve'anachnu HaReshaim. We all aren't okay, we are Reshaim. But since he said, Hashem HaTzadik ve'ani, he wanted to say that he is fine, but his people are not fine. So from that we can see that the word ani in this pasuk, Hashem HaTzadik ve'ani, the word ani, me, teaches us that Pharaoh stayed in his rishot, he stayed in his bad deeds. And therefore Moshe needed to go again and speak to Pharaoh. Says Rabbi Yonatan Eibeshitz, according to that, a very nice, strong idea here. The pasuk says, "Vayomer Hashem el Moshe bo el Paro, please go to Paro." Why are you supposed to go again? He already committed that he's not okay. The answer is that he didn't commit. Why? Because he said, Hashem HaTzadik ve'ani, the word ani stands out to say that he wasn't okay. He said that he's fine. So therefore, here comes again this word ani, ki ani nichbadeti et libo, meaning that this word that he said ani meant to say that he's fine according to his thoughts, and because he thought he's fine, you're supposed to go again and warn him. And that's the reason why his heart stayed way down and sealed, because he thought he's okay. And that's the reason why the pasuk says again the word ani. Why is that? To symbolize that Pharaoh stayed with his rishut and he didn't think to change, and because of that, Moshe needed to go again and to warn him. That's the reason why the Torah says again this word ani. Let's continue on with a very nice idea here. The pasuk says in chapter 10, verse 1, "Leman shiti ototai ele bekirbo," meaning that I want to put my signals on him, on Pharaoh. I want to give him all of those plagues. Says Rabbeinu Bechaye that you can read this word shiti. Shiti means putting. Says Rabbeinu Bechaye, you can read this word shiti, shit, yud. Shit means putting, and yud is 10. 10 is the 10 plagues that Hashem gave and Brian brought on Pharaoh. So therefore he says, Leman shit yud ototai yale bekirbo. You can read it just as well, like it's written that Hashem brought 10 plagues on Pharaoh. Excuse me. Adding to that, in a book called Chaim Shel Torah from Reb Shlomo Levinstein, a very strong idea here. He says, look, all of the letters that we have in the names of the 10 plagues is 36. You can see it here. You can see that, let's say, Dam, the blood, is 2. Daled and Mem is 2. You see? Tzvardea, the frogs, is more 5. It would be 7. Kini, Marov, Dever, until the end of Bchorot, you can see the eldest, you can see it would be 36 letters. Do you all see that? So the names of the plagues, the letters in the name of the plagues would be 36. Now, the word ele, this word ele, in Gematria, the value of the word ele would be as well 36, because Aleph is 1 in Gematria, Lamed is 30, it would be 31, and Hey is 5, so it would be 31 plus 5 would be 36. 36 is the number of the letters of the names of the 10 plagues. So says the Shlomo Levinstein, a very strong idea here, a nice idea. Leman shiti, says Rabbeinu Bechaye, it's shit yud, meaning I would put 10 plagues on Pharaoh. What would be those 10 plagues? Ototai ele bekirbo. Ototai means signals, but it's always, it can be as well the word otiotai. Otiotai is the letters. What is the letters? Ele. Ele is 36. 36 is the number of the letters, ototai, the letters that we have in those 10, sheet 10 plagues. So therefore the pasuk says, Leman shit yud, I would put 10 yud, 10 plagues. And how many letters we have in that? Ototai ele, 36 ele, ototai, 36 letters. And that you can see here, the number of letters. Excuse me. A strong message that we can learn from this parasha as well is here in chapter 10, in verses 9 and 10. The verse says, "Vebanenu vivnotenu nelech, ki chag Hashem lanu." Says the Imre Chaim, "Bebanenu vivnotenu" means our sons and our daughters, we will go from Egypt with them. We won't leave them in Egypt. Meaning the story was that Pharaoh told Moses, maybe you can go with all of the adults, but the children you can live here in Egypt. Because Moses told Pharaoh that they are going only for 3 days. So he told them, look, why are you supposed to go with those children? You can leave them here. Told him Moshe, no. Bebanenu vibnotenu nelech. We are going with them as well. Why? Ki chag Hashem lanu. Because we have a holiday that we are supposed to celebrate. Says the Imre Chaim in an idea here that if the children, banenu vibnotenu, are going nelech in the way of the Torah, that would be the biggest holiday we have. Ki chag Hashem lanu. That's the biggest holiday. Because the biggest happiness that we have in our lives would be that all of our children would go in the way that the Avot went, in the way of Abraham Avinu, Yitzhak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, our great fathers, and in the way of the Torah, and won't leave Hashem forever. So בבנינו ובבנותינו, when our children are going, נלך, they are going in our way, אז כי חג השם לנו. That's the greatest holiday that we are all supposed to celebrate. We can add to that the Mekor Baruch from Vishnitz in Parashat Tazria. He says on the next pasuk number 10, the pasuk says, Yehi chen Hashem imachem, Hashem would be with you. Pharaoh told them to Moses, Ka'asher ashalach etchem ve'et apchem, when I'm sending you and your children. Says the Mekor Baruch, even Pharaoh understood that only if we educate our children according to the Torah, according to keeping mitzvot and learning Torah, we would have Hashem with us. We would have a thing called the Ashrat Ashkina, meaning that Hashem would be with us. And it's written in the pasuk, Yehi chen Hashem imachem. Hashem would be with you. When is that? Ka'asher ashalach etchem ve'et apchem. Whenever you would go out of Egypt with your children, and your children won't stay here in Egypt and would learn from the Egypt people and become Chiloni, would become won't keep the Torah and the mitzvot. So he told them, look, even I understand that Hashem would be with you only if your children would go out from here. They won't stay here and be educated by us. And that's a great message, to educate our children according to the Torah, according to the mitzvot, and to be connected to Hashem. And even Pharaoh understood the meaning of that. Excuse me that I don't feel so well. So we'll end with one more idea. Here in chapter 10, verse 17, the pasuk says, the pasuk says like that, והתירו להשם אלוקיכם, ויסר מעלי רק את המוות הזה. Please, that's the pasuk that comes after the pestilence of livestock. It's called makat arbe, pestilence of livestock. So after that, Pharaoh asked the Moshe and his brother to daven that Hashem would remove this plague of arbe, of pestilence of livestock. But the pasuk says here, "Vayaser malai rak et hamavet hazeh." He should take from me only this death. What is this word "only" stands for? Says in a book called Pninim from Rabbi Yonatan Eibeshitz, he says a very strong idea. We need to learn here one Gemara in Masechet Ta'anit, and it's a very fundamental Gemara. The Gemara says there was a story once at the time of Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani, that they had an epidemic and hunger. So the Jew people over there thought, they understood that they cannot daven on both of them. Hashem wouldn't answer them on both, the epidemic and the hunger. So they understood that they can daven only on one of them. And they thought to themselves, what are we supposed to daven on? Are we supposed to daven on the epidemic that it would stop? Or are we supposed to daven that we won't have hunger anymore? We would have Parahsa. What do you think are they supposed to daven on? What do you say? Are you with me? Hello? So they thought they are supposed to daven on the epidemic, and they would at least be alive, and they would have some Parahsa from here, from there, and they would be able to live. But if they won't daven on the epidemic and they would have only food, what can they do with the food when they are going to die? Told them Rabbi Shmuel that the opposite is the correct thing, the opposite way. We are supposed to daven that the hunger would stop. And the epidemic would stop by itself. Why? Because Hashem brings Parnose only to those who are alive. Hashem doesn't send Parnose to those who are dead. So if we would daven on hunger, that the hunger would stop and we would have Parnose, automatically Hashem would give us, and this davening would be answered by Hashem, automatically Hashem would stop the epidemic Israel because he would give us life. Do you see what the Gemara says? The Gemara says, "Umasbia lechol chai." Hashem brings parnose to those who are alive, lechol chai. So if we would daven that the hunger would stop, and Hashem would give us parnose, He would give us lives as well, because He sends parnose only to those who are alive. That's what told them Rabbi Shmuel. Before we are continuing on, I want to share with you a nice idea in Ruth. The pasuk says in Ruth chapter 2, והנה בועז בא מבית לחם. Boaz came from Bethlehem. ויאמר לקוצרים, he said to those people, harvesters, he said to them, Hashem imachem, Hashem would be with you. And they told him, ויאמרו לו, יברכך Hashem, Hashem would bless you. Says the Imre Noam from Jacob, that here in this verse, we see this idea that we just learned in the Gemara. How do we see that? So he brings out the Gemara, and then he says like that. וזהו והנה בועז בא מבית לחם. That's Boaz came from Bethlehem. Boaz is a symbol for the tzaddik who wants to daven on his generation when he sees that they don't have parnose and they have lots of sicknesses and lots of people are dying. Boaz is the symbol for the tzaddik, and he thinks to himself, maybe I should daven on the sicknesses, because that's the main thing. Now he says like that. Look, the word kotzrim is harveters, but kotzrim as well means cholim, sick people. Because the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, keman matzlinan aktsire. Ktsire there is sick people. So the word kotzrim is harveters, but it's also sick people. So we thought maybe, look at the pasuk, look what he says. והנה בועז בא מבית לחם, Boaz came to daven on Am Israel, and ויאמר לקוצרים, Hashem imachem. He thought maybe I should daven on the kotzrim. What is the kotzrim? The sick people. ויאמרו לו, they told him no, יברכך Hashem. יברכך Hashem, Chazal says in Bamidbar Rabbi Yud Aleph that it's in parnose. יברכך Hashem בממון, he would send you parnose. So they told him, look, you think that you're supposed to daven on the sicknesses? That's not correct. That's not correct. The truth is that you're supposed to daven on Yevarchecha Hashem, on the parnose. And if Hashem would send us parnose, He would send us healing as well. So that's written here in this pasuk, in this verse. You can see as well in Pharashat Bereshit, he brings a very nice idea from the Maggid Mikoshbitz. But let's continue on with the things from Rabbi Yonatan Eibeshitz. So first of all, we learned just now that whenever you have two issues, you have sicknesses and you have hunger, you have epidemics and you have hunger, you're supposed to daven on the hunger and not on the epidemics. First thing. Secondly, the Midrash says in Shmot Rabbi Yud that with every plague that the Egypt people got, they had as well devil. They had as well pestilence of livestock. So, and that's epidemic, because all of in Dever, in the pestilence of livestock, all of the beasts, the horses, the donkeys, the camels, they are all being dead. Says the Midrash, I want to read you the Midrash. Here is the Midrash. The Midrash says, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi Amar, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi said, כל מכה ומכה שהייתה באה למצרים, every plague and plague that the Mitzrim, the Egypt people had, במצרים, in Egypt, היה הדבר ממשמש ובאימה. The pestilence of livestock came with it. And The Midrash learns it from the verses. It says Rabbi Yonatan Beshitz, according to that. Now we would understand what Parahsa said after this plague of locust plagues. He said, look, we have here two things in this plague. We have the dever that comes with every plague. We have the pestilence of livestock. And we have this plague of arbed, which is hunger. Arbed was when the grasshoppers came and ate whatever they had in the fields. So we have here two issues in this plague. We have the plague itself, which is arbed, the locust plague, which is hunger, because the grasshoppers are eating everything. And we have another plague here in this plague, which is the dever, which is epidemic, because all of the beasts were dying. So he said, I cannot daven on both of them, just as we learned just now in the Gemara. And if you would daven on the epidemic, the hunger would stay, just as we learned that you're supposed to daven on the hunger and not on the epidemic. Therefore, told them Pharaoh, נעתירו להשם אלוקיכם, ויסר מעלי רק את המוות הזה. Please daven to Hashem, and he would remove only this death. What is this death? This is the arbe. The arbe is the hunger. This plague of the hunger. And if you would take from me this death, meaning this hunger, by itself, the death would be taken as well. The epidemic would be taken as well, just as we learn in the Gemara. Therefore, he emphasizes and says, "Hatiru laHashem Elokechem v'yaser malai rak et hamavet hazeh." Please, I cannot daven on both of them. You cannot daven on both of them. You cannot daven that he would stop both the epidemic and the hunger, both the dever and the arbe. So please daven on him that he would take only the arbe, only the hunger of the arbed, the grasshoppers are eating everything, and with that, by itself, Hashem would send us a long life, and he would take the epidemic, which was the dever, the pestilence of livestock, just as we learn now in the Gemara. And that's what Pharaoh said to them in the pasuk, in the verse. He said to them, "V'atiru laHashem Elokechem v'yaser malai rak et hamavet hazeh." Only this death, only this plague. Why only this plague? Because they couldn't daven on both. So we ask, if you can daven only on one, please daven on this one, which is this one, the hunger. And when you would take the hunger, the epidemic would go by itself. So that's for today. Thank you very much. I feel not so good. I don't feel so good, so I cannot speak too much. I think maybe we should stop here. Thank you very much for being here with us and listening to the shiur. And I'll see you, Bli Neder, on the next week's Parasha, Be'ezrat Hashem. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
שבת שלום לכולם.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.